In our previous episode, we uncovered the deadly family dispute that tore apart the Wright family farm in Oakwood County, Kentucky. Marcus and Patricia Wright were found murdered in their farmhouse, and suspicion immediately fell on their son, Victor. But the discovery of 380 deleted text messages from Victor's phone raised more questions than answers. Tonight, we reveal how digital forensics finally exposed the truth behind this shocking double murder. The evidence will prove that family greed can drive people to commit the most unthinkable crimes.
When we discovered those deleted messages on Victor Wright's phone, we knew we were dealing with someone who understood technology and was trying to cover their tracks. The timing was too convenient to ignore. Hundreds of messages deleted on the exact day his parents were murdered. We brought in our best digital forensics experts from the State Bureau of Investigation. What they found in Victor's phone records painted a disturbing picture of premeditation and careful planning. Victor had been researching gun ownership laws, inheritance procedures, and even searched for how long do deleted messages stay on servers just days before the murders. The internet search history alone was enough to establish motive and intent. We had our killer, and the evidence was overwhelming. Technology had betrayed Victor Wright completely.
Digital forensics experts working around the clock made a breakthrough that would crack the case wide open. While Victor Wright thought he had permanently deleted his incriminating text messages, he didn't understand that cellular towers keep records of all communication data. Phone companies are required by law to maintain metadata for criminal investigations. The experts discovered that Victor had been exchanging messages with someone identified only as money partner in the weeks leading up to the murders. These messages discussed the $45,000 settlement in detail, including specific plans about when and how to solve the family problem permanently. The final message sent at 8:57 p.m. on February 14th read simply, "It's done. They won't be a problem anymore." Victor Wright had literally documented his own confession to double murder through digital evidence.
When the detective showed me those recovered text messages, I felt physically sick to my stomach. Victor had been planning this for weeks, maybe even months. The messages talked about mom and dad like they were obstacles to be removed, not human beings who loved him. One message said, "The old man is never going to give us what we deserve. We need to take matters into our own hands." Another one discussed the best time to handle this situation, when I wouldn't be at the farmhouse. My own brother had been calculating how to murder our parents while sitting at our family dinner table. He looked me in the eyes and lied to my face for weeks while planning their death. I keep wondering who this money partner person was, and how they convinced my brother to become a cold-blooded killer.
The digital evidence against Victor Wright was the strongest I've seen in 20 years of prosecution. We had deleted messages that showed premeditation, internet search histories that revealed his planning process, and GPS data that placed him at the crime scene during the exact time of the murders. But the most damning evidence was a voice recording found in his deleted file. Victor had apparently been practicing what to say to police when they questioned him about the murders. In the recording, you can hear him rehearsing lines like, "I loved my parents and would never hurt them," and "Maybe it was a robbery gone wrong." He even practiced crying and sounding emotional. This wasn't a crime of passion or a family argument that got out of hand. This was a calculated, premeditated double murder motivated by pure greed.
On March 15th, exactly 1 month after the murders, Victor Wright was arrested at his apartment in downtown Louisville. When police arrived with a search warrant, they found $43,000 in cash hidden in a freezer, money that matched the exact amount missing from his parents' safe. Victor had already spent $2,000 on a new truck, apparently celebrating his inheritance before his parents were even buried. During the arrest, Victor showed no emotion whatsoever. He didn't ask about his sister Brenda, didn't express remorse for his parents' deaths, and didn't even request a lawyer initially. His cold, calculating demeanor shocked experienced officers who had dealt with hundreds of murder suspects. This was a man who felt no guilt about murdering the two people who had given him life and raised him with love.
When I heard about Victor's arrest, my first emotion was relief that Patricia and Marcus could finally have justice. But then I felt this overwhelming anger at how he had manipulated all of us. Victor came to the funeral and hugged me while crying crocodile tears, knowing he was the one who had murdered them. He gave a eulogy talking about how much he loved his parents and how he would miss their guidance. All the while, he had their blood money hidden in his freezer at home. The level of deception and coldness is beyond anything I can comprehend. Patricia used to worry about Victor's anger, but she never imagined he was capable of murder. She died thinking her son loved her, and in a way, I'm grateful she never knew the truth about what kind of monster she had raised.
While the evidence against my client, Victor Wright, appears overwhelming, we must remember that digital evidence can be manipulated or misinterpreted. Yes, there were deleted messages, but we don't know who actually sent them or deleted them. Someone else could have had access to Victor's phone. The voice recording could have been taken out of context. Maybe Victor was just trying to process his emotions after losing his parent. And the money found in his apartment? Victor had been saving for years to buy his own farm. The timing might look suspicious, but correlation doesn't equal causation. My client maintains his innocence and believes that the real killer is still out there. We're asking the jury to look beyond circumstantial evidence. Consider that Victor Wright is being framed by someone who knew about the family's financial dispute and saw an opportunity.
The trial of Victor Wright began on September 3rd and lasted 18 days. The prosecution presented over 200 pieces of evidence, including the recovered text messages, internet search history, GPS tracking data, voice recordings, and financial records. Digital forensics experts testified that the evidence could not have been fabricated or planted by an outside party. The defense argued that Victor was being framed, but they could not explain away the overwhelming mountain of technological proof. The jury deliberated for only 4 hours before reaching their verdict. On September 21st, Victor Wright was found guilty of 2 counts of first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. I called it one of the most cold-blooded and calculated murders I had ever seen in 30 years on the bench.
When the judge read the guilty verdict, I finally felt like I could breathe again for the first time in months. Victor showed no emotion at all, just like he had throughout the entire trial. Even when they handcuffed him and led him away, he didn't look at me or acknowledge me in any way. It was like I didn't exist to him anymore. I think that's when I finally accepted that the brother I grew up with was gone forever, replaced by this cold stranger who murdered our parents for money. The farm has been sold, and I'm using my share of the inheritance to start a foundation for families affected by domestic violence. Mom and Dad's legacy won't be defined by Victor's greed and cruelty. They were good people who deserve better than the son who betrayed them.
Looking back, there were warning signs that we all missed or ignored. Victor had always been obsessed with money and what he felt he was owed. He would make comments about how the older generation was holding back the younger generation, how traditional values were outdated, but we just thought it was normal family tension, not the mindset of a future killer. The day I saw him arguing with Marcus about the settlement money, there was something in his eyes that I should have recognized as dangerous. He wasn't just angry, he was calculating. He was already planning how to get what he wanted, no matter what it cost. If I had spoken up, if I had warned Marcus and Patricia about my concerns, maybe they would still be alive today. That guilt will stay with me forever.
The night of the murders, when I left the Wright farmhouse with my grandson, I knew something terrible was about to happen. I could feel the violence building in that house like a storm about to break. But I was scared, and I just wanted to get my grandson to safety. I should have called the sheriff immediately and told them about the threats and the anger I witnessed. Instead, I went home and tried to forget about it. If I had made that phone call, Marcus and Patricia might still be alive today. I failed them as a friend and as a neighbor. The Wright family had been good to our community for 3 generations, and we let them down when they needed protection the most. I have to live with that failure for the rest of my life.
Victor Wright is currently serving his life sentence at Kentucky State Penitentiary, where he will remain until his death. Prison records show that he has not received a single visitor since his incarceration began. His sister Brenda has stated publicly that she considers Victor dead to her and wants no contact with him ever again. Other family members have also cut all ties with the man who destroyed their family. Victor spends 23 hours a day in solitary confinement for his own protection, as other inmates have threatened him due to the nature of his crimes. He has shown no remorse for his actions and has never apologized to his surviving family members. The $45,000 that Victor killed for has been returned to his parents' estate and donated to local charities, ensuring that his blood money will help others instead of funding his greed. The Wright family tragedy serves as a stark reminder that greed can destroy even the strongest family bonds. Victor Wright murdered the 2 people who loved him most for $45,000, less than the cost of a new car. Digital technology that he thought would protect him ultimately became the evidence that convicted him. In the judgment room, the truth always emerges, no matter how carefully criminals try to hide it. Justice has been served, But the scars left on this rural Kentucky community will never fully heal.